Chris, and her baby sister's name was Laverne. As a little girl, she worked in the fields. She was a really good girl. She helped her mother cook and clean house, and she went to school at Bethlehem. She studied hard and she played hard. She had two little playmates, and their names were Toffee Toe and Leafus. Now, during that same time, down the road from Bethlehem lived a family named Smith. There was a papa and a mama and a whole bunch of brothers and sisters. The oldest boy's name was Alvin. He was very tall and handsome, and he worked very hard to help his daddy make a living for Mama and all these brothers and sisters. Alvin became a teenager, and then he discovered this shy young baker girl who lived up the road. She was very pretty, and Alvin began to court her. They went to parties at Bethlehem and at Oakdale, and they went to church together. Then one stormy November night, Thanksgiving, 1938 to be exact, Alvin came calling for Beatrice in a buggy. This was a special date. The buggy was pulled by the faithful old mules, Pete and John. For this special date, they took along little sister Laverne and headed off to Wattensaw. They were going to a wedding. It was their wedding. They moved to the Paxton place, several miles from Bethlehem, to begin their married life together. Times were hard, and the snow came that winter, but they managed to get by. Alvin helped his daddy farm. There were good times too, but soon the war broke out. And before long, Alvin decided he must go serve his country, so he joined the Navy. Beatrice sad and lonely, so she moved to Bea to live in her brother Tom's house with her mother Clara and her sister Laverne. She worked in the munitions plant, but then sad news came. Her young sailor husband, Alvin, was wounded in the war. He was sent to California, Treasure Island to be exact, in San Francisco. So the shy young wife, who had never gone anywhere before, packed up her bags and she headed to California to care for Alvin. She rode a bus and she finally arrived and had to make her way in the big city. She managed for several weeks, and then good news came. Pretty soon, they were going to get to go home. She had stood by her man, and the war was soon to be over. The couple was happy because it was time to go home. Neither one of them much cared for the city, and Arkansas sounded awfully good to them after having spent this time in California. So off to Arkansas they went. The happy young couple. Alvin had saved a little money while he was in the Navy, and so they were able to get a dairy farm near the Christopher place over close to Bea. They bought some cows, and they cut hay, and it was kind of back to hard times again. Alvin cut wood, and Beatrice canned lots of blackberries and made a garden. Oh, but wait. Good news came in hard times. A baby was on its way. Soon a blue-eyed baby girl was part of their lives.
You must have been a wonderful child when you were only starting to go to kindergarten. I bet you drove the little boys wild. And when it came to winning blue ribbons, she must have shown the other kids all. I can see the judge's eyes as they handed her the prize. I bet she made the cutest smile. Oh, she must have been a beautiful baby. 'Cause baby, take a look at her now.
Alvin kept on milking cows, and Beatrice helped, and Janet cried a lot. After a couple of years, Alvin's hands became paralyzed with a temporary paralysis. Since Alvin couldn't milk anymore, he sold the dairy, and he had served his country well in the Navy, so he was given the opportunity to buy a little white government house at Butlerville. So the little Smith family packed up and moved to Butlerville by Budworthy's store. Alvin farmed some cotton, and he took a job at the airport to help make ends meet financially. They had a good life, but then another exciting thing happened. Another baby was coming. a mighty distinguished name for such a tiny little baby, so everybody called him Eddie. In a year or so, since everybody called him Eddie, he referred to himself as Baby E.E. Alvin farmed cotton and took a job at the airport at Little Rock to help make ends meet financially. Then he bought an airplane. Then another airplane. Then some more airplanes. Once he was even the president of the Flying Farmers Association. Now Alvin had the son he always wanted. He could teach him to fly. And Eddie could help him farm. The family was now complete. Janet became the chief babysitter and cook, and Beatrice went to work in the fields and raised some more cotton while Alvin worked at Adamsville. He flew back and forth. Nobody knows when he rested. He was busy making a living for his kids to have everything that they needed. Beatrice was a good wife and mother, and these kids were growing up. Soon Janet got married and left home. California was really a long way to go. But here we go again. Another not so shy young girl, Part Baker, headed off. Then another big event happened. In about 10.5 months, our shy young Beatrice and hard-working Alvin were going to be grandparents. Now Beatrice was known as Mama Bea, as young Buddy made his entrance into the world. Alvin now had a #1 grandson. But life was stormy for Janet and Buddy, and eventually there was a divorce. Alvin filled the dual role of daddy and granddad to Buddy, and Buddy spent lots of time with Mama Bea and Granddad. Meanwhile, Eddie was growing into a fine young fella. He was a good student, even a football player. Soon he graduated from high school, he got his diploma, and went off to college at Fayetteville. After 3.5 years, he came back to Little Rock to work. During this time, Janet met a handsome man named Bill, and soon there was another wedding. And this time she did it right and married with her daddy's blessings. Bill was now part of the Smith family, and although he was a little strange sometimes, once he even performed as Minnie Pearl at the Excelsior Hotel. Bill and Janet were very happy. While living in Little Rock, Eddie met a beautiful young red-headed lady named Debbie. They fell in love, and soon another wedding took place. They lived in Little Rock, and one day, good news came again. There was going to be another grandbaby. And what a beauty she was. Cindy was born in November, and the Smith family had a living doll for Christmas that year. Alvin had always wished for lots of grandkids, so Ed and Debbie cooperated, and soon there was Katie, another raving beauty. The Smith clan was growing, and these two beautiful little baby girls didn't suffer much from lack of attention. Uncle Buddy was fond of these little girls and not too jealous. But look out, Buddy. #2 grandson has just arrived in the person of Benjamin Edward Smith. Buddy's way of coping was to turn into a teenager. Alvin and Mama Bea had a new area of life to cope with. Alvin became granddad to young Benjamin, and Buddy decided to become an auctioneer. This Smith clan was something they were proud of. But now Mama Bea and Dangrad were all alone in the house, which was by now a big brick house. So Alvin decided to build some pipelines, and soon he got, you guessed it, another airplane. That teenage grandson Buddy finally grew up, and the Smith family grew some more as beautiful young Karen became Buddy's bride. Many years have passed since these two fell in love, and the reason we're telling you our story tonight is because in November of this year, 1988, the shy young baker girl from Bethlehem and the hard-working, handsome young Smith boy have been married for 50 years. Alvin didn't want a party, so this really isn't a party. They didn't want any gifts for this 50th wedding anniversary, but Mother, this is for you. An excellent wife who can find, for her worth is far above jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She always does him good and never evil all the days of her life. She rises also while it's still night, and she gives food to her household and portions to her handmaidens. She considers a field and buys it. From her earnings she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She senses that her gain is good. Her lamp does not go out at night. She makes coverings for herself and her family. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies belts to the tradesmen. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she always smiles at the future. She opens her mouth in wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and never eats the bread of idleness. Her children rise up, and they bless her. Her husband also, and he praises her, saying, Many daughters have done nobly, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her the products of her hands, and let her words praise her in the gates. Mama, I love you. And Daddy, this is for you. Hear, my children, and accept my sayings, and the years of your life will be many. I have directed you in the way of wisdom. I have led you in the upright paths. Where you walk, your steps will not be impeded. And if you run, you won't stumble. Take hold of my instruction, and do not let her go. Guard her, for she is your life. Dad, you've taught us well, and I love you too. Happy anniversary, Mom and Daddy. Thank you for everything that you've done for all of us. We hope you enjoy 50 more years of love and happiness and good health together. And thank you for loving us all so much, for teaching us right from wrong, to give and to help others, and to believe in God. Happy anniversary. We all love you.